Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015 will be discussed in this module as the current evolution of the country's trial in embracing young engagement in local governance, which includes mechanism for meaningful youth involvement in nation building and other reasons. Furthermore, the lesson will promote patriotism, nationalism, and other desirable qualities in youth and inspire them to participate in public and civic affairs as youth. The objectives. By the end of this module, the student will be able to discuss the salient features of RA number 10742 and recognize their vital role in the nation building together with the SK. Sangguniang Kabataan, it is a council meant to represent the youth in each barangay in the Philippines. It was put on hold but not quite abolished prior to the 2013 barangay election. So, Sangguniang Kabataan, known as Youth Council in the Philippines, the Sangguniang Kabataan or Youth Council is the governing body of Youth Assembly of Katipunan ng Kabataan of every barangay. They are elected by the members of Katipunan ng Kabataan in election conducted by the Commission of Election or COMELEC. There shall be in every barangay a Sangguniang Kabataan, and Katipunan ng Kabataan were created through the Local Government Code 1991, Republic Act of 7160, that provides opportunity for young people to directly participate in local governance, composed of all youth aged 15 to 21 years old. So, Republic Act number 10742, it was signed into law by President Benigno Aquino III in January 2016. It is an act establishing reform in the Sangguniang Kabataan, creating enabling mechanism for meaningful youth participation in nation building and other purposes. So the Senate and the House of Representatives agreed to postpone the SK election in September 2013, and President Benigno Aquino III signed the Republic Act 10632, an act to postpone the election in October 2013. This was in response to criticism that SK members are unproductive and unprepared to assume leadership roles, that their activities are limited to sport-related projects, that SK officials have become absentee officials, that SK is failing to address the needs of youth, and that is served as a breeding ground for corruption. This action, known as Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015. Through this, the state recognized the vital role of the youth in nation building and thus promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being, inculcates in them patriotism, nationalism, and other desirable values, and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. The Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 10742. According to Senator Bamakino, the SK Reform Act seeks to uphold youth representation by returning to the true spirit of volunteerism and taking youth participation away from the clutches of partisan politics. It is anchored on the twin beliefs that youth organizations are potent force in nation building and that the power of youth Filipinos is strongest when they work with people who share their values and goals. And in an environment of teamwork and collaboration, um, this means that katipunan of kabataan encourage to participate or volunteer to share the value and the goal, create an environment of teamwork. The passage of the SK Reform Act demonstrate our faith in the Filipino youth potential to lead and contribute to the development of our country. Toward this end, the state shall establish adequate, effective, responsive, and enabling mechanisms and support system that will ensure the meaningful participation of the youth in local governance and nation building, also enshrine best practices of youth empowerment nationwide, and it makes mandatory for local government until the units to implement it. So when it comes to youth representation in our electoral system, this has the potential to make a meaningful youth. The state must put in place necessary, effective, responsive, and enabling procedures and support system to guarantee that youth are involved meaningfully in local governance and nation building. It also makes it necessary for local government entities to apply best practices in youth empowerment across the country. The next that I will discuss is Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015 salient features. So the age expansion. Candidates of SK shall be 18 to 24 years old on the day of the election. So the SK officials are now allowed to sign in contracts, thus they are expected to be more rein the utilization of their funds. So the anti-political dynasty. SK reform bills is the first of its kind that includes an anti-political dynasty provision and relatives up to second degree of consanguinity and affinity of an incumbent elected officials are not allowed to run. So the financial independence, the barangay shall all 10% of the general fund to SK and it must be disbursed solely for the youth development and SK budget shall be deposited in the name of SK in the government-owned bank. So for the local youth development council or LYDC, the LYDC shall be composed of representative of youth organization and the LGU, and it shall assist in planning and execution of project and program of SK. And for the local chief executive may appoint a youth development officer with the rank of at least division chief. For the mandatory training and linggo ng kabataan, the SK official must undergo mandatory training programs before he or she can assume office. The SK and LYDC shall lead observance of Linggo ng Kabataan to be held consequent with the International Youth Day every August. So the NSTP, as part of Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015, Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Act of 2015 requires tertiary school to implement the law with regards to National Service Training Program and as student incorporation to its project relate to civic consciousness and defense preparedness as being part of katipunan ng kabataan in their community. Students who are SK official are appointed are being exempted from payment of tuition and matriculation fees while enrolled in any public tertiary school, including colleges and universities, for the local funds public education and the nearest to their area jurisdiction. So they are being exempted from taking National Service Training Program Civic Welfare Training Service or NSTP CWTS subject. Instead of taking this, the concerned SK official must submit written reports preparable with photograph of other documentation of their participation and implementation of programs. The project and activities and outlined in ABYIT. Also, they are excused from attending their regular classes if they are currently enrolled in any school. Whenever attending their regular or special SK meeting and the sangguniang barangay sessions. In the case attachment to this, the certification attendance shall be issued by the Sangguniang Kabataan Secretary, attested by Sangguniang Kabataan Chairperson, and duly noted by the punong barangay, shall be submitted to the concerned faculty members and the dean of the educational institution as proof of attendance. While the students who are regularly enrolled in the National Service Training Service Program, subject whether is component of Civil Welfare Training Service or LTS, Literacy Training Service, or the Reserve Officer Training Course, ROTC, that incorporates their selves to the project of SK as part of their civic consciousness and defense preparedness activity. This is also being part of the member of katipunan ng kabataan in their community. As the SK Reform Law state, there shall be in every barangay katipunan ng kabataan to be composed of all citizens of the Philippines residing in the barangay for at least 6 months who are at least 15 but not more than 30 years old, who are duly registered in the list of Commission on Election or COMELEC, recorded by the Sangguniang Kabataan Secretary. So the Katipunan of Kabataan serves as the highest policy-making body that decide on matters affecting the youth. In the barangay, the SK must consult and secure the concurrence of the majority of the KK members for the formulation and approval of all the policy, plans, program, and activities that promotes welfare of the youth such as CBYDP and ABYIP. For the involvement of an NSTP student as a KK member with SK also indicates the LYDC can easily recognize and register to LGU, the existing organization in the university, states, and colleges, underlying the scope of responsibility of LYDC for involvement to the execution of project and program of SK. So the following below are the SK priority programs, project, and activities based on their ABYIP. And this can be done with NSTP student as KK members. Number one is equitable access to quality education. The next is environmental protection. 3, the climate change adaptation and the disaster risk reduction and resiliency. Next is youth employment and livelihood and health, including the health service and adolescent, sexual and reproductive health, anti-drug abuse, and gender sensitivity, sport development, and capability building, which emphasize leadership training. For the values, makadiyos, makatao, may kagandahang loob at dignidad, may malasakit at respeto sa kapwa, kalikasan, pabansa, may pagpapahalaga sa iba't ibang kultura, at malikhain. And that's all. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.